Hi guys, it's Kristen here from K's Perfect Fitness TV, and today I'm going to talk about how to squat deeper and why should we squat deeper. Basically, if we can squat deeper, we can activate your glutes better. Our glutes do turn to switch off if we're sitting or standing too much, so we really want to make sure that they are activating when you are training. So I do a video called How to Do the Perfect Squat, and in that video I talk about going to parallel, which is great, and then once you perfect that, we want to try to squat deeper. So when we talk about the perfect squat, have the feet just a little bit wider than shoulder distance. And then we push the hips back with our weight driving through our heels. And we're keeping a flat back, and we drop the hips to about parallel. Now this obviously is engaging through hamstrings, glutes, and thighs, but predominantly here, you're going to get a lot of work from the quads. So as you push back up, you squeeze the glutes. So that's your basic squat. So if we want to be able to squat deeper, we need to take the feet a little bit wider and on a slight turnout. So you open up through the hips. So here's where it's going to differ from person to person depending on their flexibility and the shape of their spine and the tilt of their pelvis. So when you want to squat deeper, you want to be able to still keep the weight in the heels, press the hips back, and this time you're thinking about pressing the knees over the middle toes. So they want to stay in line with the middle toes, but not going over the toes, and still keeping the back flat and dropping your tailbone down to the floor, but not tucking it under. And then as you push back up, you squeeze the glutes to lift back up. So we're just doing body weight right now to get the technique right. And you always want to make sure you perfect your technique and check it out in the mirror before you add and load any weight to it. So here again, I'm going to show you another good technique, and then I'm going to show you what can kind of go wrong. So here's a good one where my knees are going out, pressing right over the middle toes, but not going over the middle toes, staying in line, straight flat back, and then squeezing my glutes to come back up. So my hips are dropping lower than my knees, and they can go kind of as low as you can depending on how flexible you are through the inner thighs and through the glutes. So here's a lot of times what will happen though, is when people turn out through their hips, their toes are now turned out, but their knees don't stay in line with the middle toes. Their knees go in. So let me show you from the front, because from the side you might not notice it. The knees might not go out because they don't have the mobility through their hips. So that's not gonna work. So that's where you would go back to just your normal squat, and you would stay with that technique and work on your flexibility to be able to go deeper squatting. So then your other thing that you will see is the tailbone will start tucking under. When the lower back starts to roll and tuck under, then your squat doesn't become safe anymore. So let me show you this as well. So if you're having your flat back and then your tailbone starts to round under, there's a lot of pressure on your lower back, and it's really not safe anymore, especially if you've added weight. So that's a no-go. So that's going to depend on the individual. So there's a few things that you can do to work on this to improve your mobility and flexibility through your hips. One thing that is great is your pigeon stretch. So you would just come down to the mat. You want to release through your hips and your glutes here. This will help you open up within your hip joint. So before you can deep squat, you might need to really just work on your flexibility. And then of course, a really good inner thigh stretch. One of my favorite ones is coming into a shell here. You take one foot out to the side and then walk your hand over to your toes to release through the inner thigh here. And then another great one is then from standing. So if you have your feet wide, you do push your hips back, and then you rotate one elbow inward, press the knee out, and try to open up through the hips. So here's a few things that you can try so you can squat deeper and start activating your glutes and making sure that they are working when you're training, because you will get so much more out of them. And squats are awesome for your glutes, but you want to make sure you're doing them technically, properly, and safely. So if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments box below, and I hope this will help you to squat deeper and get those nice tight booties that you all want. So thanks for watching. I'm Kristen, and you're watching K's Perfect Fitness TV.